So in the today's webinar, we will be going through the project management needs and dependencies, the methodology dilemma, whether to stick to the predictive methodology or the agile methodology, the new PMP syllabus 2021, domains, tasks and enablers, new exam pattern and question types. We will also see the allocation of questions across the domain, the certification roadmap, the links, and the study material references for the PMP certification 2021. I hope you have gone through my brief introduction, and the relevant audience also seems to be like, all those who are falling in any of these categories can have a good look into the PMP certification ahead. So we can start the activity. You can quickly use the chat box and type in any major reasons that you know for the failure of project using the predictive or the waterfall methodology. We will just have a timeline of 30 seconds. If not, then you can also pen it down on a piece of paper so you know how it is. Okay, great. Changes, incomplete requirement gathering, lack of experience. Yeah, too many documents. That also can be probably a cause. Business requirement changes. Yes, that's a great one. Delivery at the end of project. Okay, yeah, we have certain bottlenecks many a times. No customer engagement, no communication. Communication in the same block. So great. So seems most of us are aware of the issues that we face for the project management. So these are certain points that the PMP has come up with. So PMP does certain surveys or on professional note, they are found of these are the causes or the reasons for project failures. So it include change in priority within the organization, inaccurate requirement, change in project objectives, undefined risk and opportunities. As we all know, certain risk or certain things do pop up, like the new pandemic. Nobody had expected it, and it turned up. It is definitely a risk for more businesses, and it is an opportunity for pharma industry. Poor communication. We faced the communication issue just a few minutes back, so I think so that can be a problem in execution. Undefined project goals, inadequate sponsor support, inadequate cost estimates, inadequate task time estimates, poor change management, limited resources, problems with task and dependencies on certain resources or certain critical elements, procrastination within the team. Yes. Out of these, we can link up at least few for the failure in the predictive methodology. So all these can occur even if you are following the waterfall method. So others you can definitely cope up if you follow the processes, but rest they do occur even if we follow the waterfall methodology of project management. So we have now the agile methodology. So what is the difference in agile? So in agile we have something called as a scrum, okay, which is a method of agile. So we will just take in terms of the scrum methodology. So in scrum the teams are basically involving the client, the developers, the testers, everyone. So we make sure that everyone is actively participating. We also divide the whole deliverable into small stories. Each of the small stories are further divided into small tasks, and each of the tasks are then met up for iterations. So we have multiple iterations. We keep on iterating. In each iteration, we integrate, test, and deliver. We for each and smallest part of the delivery, we test, we get the approval from the client, and then only we go ahead with the release. So rather than taking the whole picture together, we split the picture into different parts into multiple elements, then join them together and make the delivery possible. So there's always a dilemma. So which predictive or agile methodology should we use? So change is constant and change is like an inevitable thing. So technology changes, the circumstances, the political scenarios, everything keeps on changing by the passing time. But still, predictive projects are successful where the requirement is pretty much known and the approach or the solution is pretty much clear. So you know what needs to be done and you know the technology that needs to be done, used for getting the work done. Everything is good enough in a predictive project. When to use the agile? Yeah, if the project is ambiguous, where you don't have complete clarity, or the technology is changing very fast, or it's a very new technology or something, the client is not clear, the requirements are not clear. In that case, you can definitely use the agile methodology. So we have the Stacy matrix, which helps us to take a decision whether to go for the agile or whether to go for the predictive methodology. To these, we have added the duration, which is missing. This is something that we see to it. So for projects which are for a shorter duration, can be much more simpler. While if the project duration is very long, then we have to consider it becomes more complex, because with the passing time, many elements or many environmental changes do come up and we have to cope up with that. So say 5 years down the line, if I was looking out for a mobile, then 2 GB RAM will be our wow thing. And today 2 GB RAM is nothing. Like, people are switching on to 8 GB or 16 GB RAMs. So with the passing time, everything changes up. So definitely we have added this element here. So if the duration is short, we can still stick to a simpler method. If the duration is long, it increases the complexity of the project. So if the project is simple, so you know the requirement, okay, the client is very clear about the requirement, you know the technology out here, it's very much clear, and the duration is not too long, then you can consider the simple method for the project management as a predictive methodology. If it is something which is not too complex nor too simple, okay, so then you can use the hybrid. Hybrid is nothing but the combination of agile and predictive both. And when it is very much complex, so where the duration is either too long or the technology is far from certainty or the requirements are changing very frequently, in that case you can use agile. If your project for any case falls under the anarchy, then it's better you don't pick up that project. It will be a complete loss. Unless and until it's a very critical project, you have to take it, or something of that sort. Otherwise, all the project that fall under this circle here is a definitely risky thing to do. So again, a small quick activity. We have the project that is building the Statue of Unity. It's one of the best monument that India has come up with recently. So which methodology of project management will you follow if we have to complete these kind of projects? So you have to complete the build up of Statue of Unity. So which will be the best methodology as per you? You can use the chat window again to give me your opinions. Okay, a great response towards the predictive or the waterfall methodology. Okay, we can say definitely predictive will be a best, but sticking to hybrid methodology will help us. Now, why we can stick to hybrid? Because as we all know, definitely we know the output, the requirement was clear. Also, we know the technology, it was very much clear, but still the height factor, considering the statue is made up of a metal which is unique within itself. So if we want to still test it up, we will go with the hybrid. We will divide the whole project of say a 4 year or 5 year duration into small uh, deliverables, complete each deliverable on time, see to it that we are on the project path, and definitely iterate the same methodology, which is the predictive methodology. So for each of these small project phases, we will use the predictive methodology. So sorry, somebody is not able to hear my voice again. Hello, is my voice again not audible to anyone? Saloni has stated that the voice issue is there. Okay, fine. So Saloni, it seems there is some issue with your end. You need to check it out. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for your feedback. Yeah, so we will continue ahead. So hybrid methodology can be the best. So we use agile as well as the predictive methodology. So again, the technology is known, the requirements are known, the environment is complex. It's one of a kind project. The duration is long. It's definitely a 3 year plus project. So we need to stick to the things, and the timelines and the budgets are defined. So definitely it is an hybrid methodology call. So over the years, PMBOK has been updated to match with the changing time. PMP has released its first PMBOK in the year 1996. Over the time, we have come up with new versions of PMBOK. We had PMBOK 2 in 2003, in 2004, PMBOK 4 in 2008. There were changes in the processes, the knowledge areas. First, we had 37 processes, then we went on to add up to 49 process in the last PMBOK, which was released in 2018. Post that, we have now focused on the agile methodology. So the changes will be the new syllabus. We will focus on the agile along with the PMBOK 6 until we don't get the PMBOK 7. The PMBOK 7 was scheduled to be released by earlier this year, but due to the pandemic, there has been a delay. So we are expecting the 7th PMBOK to be released anytime by say post June or July, anytime mid-year. Till then, we have to refer to PMBOK 6 along with certain other study material which we will refer to. You can also go through the ECO, that is exam content online, which is provided by the PMP. So how is this change? So change has been towards the delivery model. The focus has now changed. We now want to focus on what the business needs to deliver rather than just focusing on what it needs to just complete. So rather than a process or a sequential flow, we now have a delivery value driven flow. Okay, so projects are initiated to meet the business need. So it is important that everyday decisions are in the same context and business goals. So you need to evaluate your project decisions very frequently. Build, train a team, yeah, definitely the people element comes up here. Initiate the project, start a project, plan it properly, take the best possible inputs before starting the project, execute the project well, keep on proper monitoring tools, use all tools and techniques so that the project execution is tracked effectively, and evaluate and track the performances. So as we saw, there's a change in approach. Up to PMBOK 5 or 6, we had focus on the process. So we had the people and the business environment, but we considered it as an external factors which were impacting this process. The focus was mostly on the process groups, which were initiate, plan, execute, monitor, control, and close. So we had all the processes across all these process groups and the knowledge areas. The change in the new syllabus is towards the approach of value oriented approach. So now business is no longer operating in isolations, and every project is a part of a business environment. A project is made up of team, which are made up of people, and each team or people make use of different processes to achieve their day-to-day goals or tasks. So in value driven, it is the business environment overall, wherein by we have people working within the environment which make use of the processes. So the transition has been from a process driven. So earlier we had 5 process groups and 49 processes to a value driven. So now we have 3 domains, and the domains are further classified into tasks, which are called as 35 tasks. So what are domains? Domains are high level knowledge areas essential to the PMP. So as we knew, all the major tasks are divided into 3 main domains. The tasks are the underlying responsibilities of the project manager within each of the domain. So what is the responsibility, what all tasks a project manager has to complete in each domain are mentioned in the task, and each task are further elaborated by enablers, which are nothing but illustrative examples of work associated with the task. So what all and how all things are to be achieved are mentioned in the enablers. Throughout the project life cycle, we use different deliverables, tools, and techniques. I hope you know few like the RACI chart or the Gantt chart, the fishbone diagrams, and many more. So we use all of these tools and techniques to estimate the project deadlines, the project schedules, to allow track dates, dependencies within the project, manage assignments, manage resources, prioritize tasks. So all these are being used to any of these activities. So the new syllabus, we have the people domain, which is consists of 14 tasks and which has 53 enablers. We have the process domain, which is made up of 17 tasks and has 61 enablers in it. And we have the business environment domain, which is made up of 4 tasks and which has 19 enablers. All of these, we make use of different tools, techniques, and deliverables. So your overall syllabus will be divided in tasks, enablers, tools, and techniques. Okay, time for small activity. So let's check out what all management skills do you use in your day-to-day life. So any activity that you perform, not necessarily your only business oriented activity, any activity that you perform, you use certain management skills. So what all those, what all you can recall, you can just type in up. Okay, so we are getting few feedbacks. I will try to use those. Communication is okay, people management, great. Planning, budgeting, time management, okay, reviewing, yeah, that's a good one. You need to review very frequently. Contingency plan, yes. Okay, managing one own self, yes. So we can take that as self management. Yeah, we can say backup plan as a contingency. Yes, risk management. Communication, I think so. We have already mentioned that. Validations, quality metrics. These can be considered as tools or techniques rather than skills. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the input. I hope you have listed a few, quite a lot. So let's see. All the three domains, they focus on the skills that we have mentioned. So you'll see either of the skills will come in use in the people's domain, or we will use all those skills in the process domain or in the business environment domain. So to start off with, so in what is like, a people's domain, it focuses on the link between the stakeholders and the development team. We all know the project management is a key link here. It needs to balance both the stakeholders as well as the development team. By stakeholders, we mean everybody who has certain interest in the project. So not only the end customer, but it can be the sponsors and other elements. It needs to enhance this analytical leadership, negotiation, motivational, and mentoring skills here. It is his responsibility to satisfy the needs of the stakeholders, the vendors, the team members, and any business entity which is directly or indirectly linked up to the project success. Effectively manage a team which ladders into different levels on the organization chart. So we all know we come up with a team which falls under different levels. So you will have senior managers, junior subordinates, testers. So it can be functional team, it can be a hierarchical team. So all form a part of a single project, and it is very critical to manage all these entities. Overall, it is made up of 14 tasks and 53 enablers. It's focus on the who and what. So if you want to focus on the people domain, you need to ask who needs to do what. So all the tasks are being justified with who needs to perform what activity. It's basically into the people domain. So these are the tasks. We have just listed few. So if you see, most of the active tasks are linked to either the team or the stakeholders. So build a team, lead a team, empower team and stakeholders, support team performance, mentor relevant stakeholders, define the ground rules, ensure that the members and the stakeholders training is done on time, negotiate project agreements. So we have negotiation part with the vendors and third parties, build a shared understanding, engage and support virtual teams. This is a critical element with the pandemic stage. You have virtual teams, you have teams which are located at different places. So nobody is now a part of a single office premise. So you have teams, plus you also have teams which are geographically distant. So certain time conflicts are there. So you need to manage all of those. So basically, address and remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers. So earlier, all these were part of the processes. So we had certain process in the PM6, like identify stakeholders, acquire resources, control resources, validate the scope, monitor the stakeholder engagement, which fall into different knowledge areas and into different knowledge groups. So all these, if you refer to, can link up to the new task. So the new task of what we have discussed, of build a team or lead a team or manage a conflict, all of these you can get relevant processes, or you can get relevant linkages in the old process. This is just a brief on how we link the old to the new. We will deep dive in our next webinar on how each of the new tasks are linked up, or how we can map up to the old processes. We are just going to have a quick overview today. The technical project management. As the name suggests, it's focused on the technical aspect of project management. So majorly the PMBOK 6 version, most of the processes like planning, budgeting, scheduling, change management, determining communication standards, following appropriate methodologies across different tasks, all will be part of the technical project management. We have 17 tasks across 61 enablers. Mostly it is focusing on how and when. So how a task is to be performed, or how we will achieve the desired goal, and when is to be done. So again, we will just have a quick overview on all the different tasks here. So the how will be mostly focusing on the planning thing. So we plan it ahead, and the when and how, like the outcome or the execution will be focusing on the management part of it. So again, plan and manage scope, plan and manage quality, plan and manage procurement, manage project changes, manage project artifacts, manage project issues, manage project quality, assess and manage risk. So all of these, plan and manage budget and resources, integrate the project planning activities, all the tasks of defining how it is to be done and when it is to be performed. So scheduling, so which of the activities is scheduled when, all these will be part of the process domain. Again, any of the activities, or the process. So plan scope management, plan risk management, plan cost management, control schedule, control scope, controlling things at the time of execution, will all these process will link up to the new task that we have in the new syllabus. With the time, so we will take a small activity break. So we will take a small activity break. So who all are impacted by the success or failure of the project? So you need to just list down all those entities that you think will be, yeah, thanks, great. The client, the stakeholders, the project team, yes. You can be wide enough, because now if you see to it, we have three domains. We have the people domain. Okay, great one. Our jobs, yeah, definitely everybody's job as is at the stake. End users, yes, the end user includes not only the client but the end user who's going to actually consume the service. The customer, yeah, the client, the project coordinator, the operation support team, yes, the team, yeah, we state the development team. Yeah, Mike, thanks. But we can be a bit particular. Everybody, definitely everybody we know, but still in general, organization goodwill, yes. Compliances, great, yes. Compliances and legal regulations, governance, great. We'll put a timing out of it. We are looking out for entities, Shraddha. So value will be in terms of a delivery model. The entities we cannot consider as a value. So yeah, definitely the value will be derived, but which all entities? So we need to mention the entities. Okay, great. So we will just have a quick overview on the entities. So we have two segments or two bifurcations. First are those who are directly impacting with the project. So we have the project sponsors, the management team, and the employees. You guys have rightly stated the team. The teams include the management as well as the employees, and sponsor includes the client or the customer, the one who is sponsoring the project. So all these three are the key or the ones who are directly impacted with the project, success, failure, or whatever. Apart from them, we have external entities. The external entities are like the government regulatory bodies, the suppliers, the vendors who are also linked to the project, the investors and the creditors. By investors, we don't mean the sponsors. By investors, we mean the banks or the line of credit that we have taken from the creditors who have also invested on certain elements of the project. The competitors and the substitute. This is a key element. Not only you, but your competitor business will also be impacted with it. The substitute, which means a new substitute or somebody which is coming up with not a direct competition but a substitution. So if you have beverages, we have a substitution as in terms of tea, coffee, or new beverage coming up into the market. We have the environmental changes, which is again a key factor with the global scenario, the global community at large. So the business environment. So all of these that we've discussed earlier are a part of the business environment group. So the business environment's responsibility is towards the organization's responsibility towards all. It is made up of 4 tasks and we have 19 enablers. So as we saw, it includes project compliances, evaluating project benefits and values, evaluating the outside environmental changes on how they impact your business. So anything that comes up in the external environment can directly impact your project. So imagine there is a change in new technology or change in the environment or something other picks up and you're not prepared for it. So it will impact the project delivery structure. Best example will be the Mumbai metro projects. We all know we have plan, we have schedules, but due to this pandemic, most of the things, or also due to certain political instability in between, or certain times due to the government norms of environmental changes, we have seen certain projects are like put on a hold. So all these external factors also impact your project. So business environment is vice versa. So how you or your project is going to impact the business overall environment and how the business environment is going to impact your project. So again, it focuses on why. So why is the value output for and for whom. So who or whom it should be the focus area. So we have evaluate and deliver project benefits and values, evaluate and address the external business environmental changes for impact on scope, support the organization change. So as we rightly said, you have to keep up with the organization change, plan and manage project compliances. So we all know there are multiple compliances which a project should complete. This is a tricky one. Now, not much of these can be directly found in the old process, although you can link up certain elements of in terms of your planning part of it. So at the time of planning, you need to consider like how the project is going to map up with the compliances or how the project is going to satisfy or reap the benefits or give value to the end users, the end customers, and evaluate the external environmental changes, impact on scope, and the organization change, which was part of the change management on monitor and control project work. So there can be a bit of linkages between the processes and the new tasks, but not much. So we will see to it like most of the things in the business domain are new or we need to focus that more on the new syllabus. So now, once we have completed all of these domains, which is more important from the project management point of view? So what do you think? All are equally important, and we see, the people's domain is more important than the process, than the business environment, or we have the process domain more, or we have the business environment critical. BE here stands for business environment. For yeah, in terms of importance, definitely all are important, but we need to also consider the weightage, how much weightage a project manager has to give on each of these elements. So, or to analyze your skill development. Yeah, great, Mike. It depends. Yes, exactly. It depends on the project. Yeah, great answer, Aishwarya. Depends on the project. Yeah, so for certain projects which are critical on certain elements, like if your project is for delivery model which is going to impact the community at large, yeah, you can change. Okay, so we have very diplomatic answers here. We have all are mostly possessing, it depends on the factor of the project. Okay, so we'll run the time log now. 30 seconds. You can still type in your answers. We have mostly the answers in favor of A as in general. Okay, Shraddha states B. So the answer will be as per PMP's weightage or as per the importance or allocation of questions in the domain or the total number of tasks that we have mentioned. Uh, Process stands a bit more than the people and then the business environment. It is just merely in terms of the percentage of weightage that is assigned to the paper or to your syllabus. But yes, rightly said so. It all depends on the project. In certain projects, which are mostly driven by people-oriented thing and less of project management practices, yeah, it is definitely a great thing. So the allocation of questions, as we saw, 14 tasks are in the people domain, 17 tasks are in the process domain, 4 tasks are in the business environment domain. 42% of your total questions will be from people domain. So now you can see the importance on the people's domain. 50% of the total questions will be from process domain, while 8% of the total questions will be from business environment domain. Total, there will be 180 questions, and this will be the question pattern that you can expect in your certification thing. So out of 180 questions, you will be subjective to do asked out here. It will be of 230 minutes. You have two scheduled breaks for computer-based test. For a paper-based test, there are no scheduled breaks, but most of us opt for a computer-based test. So you get two 10-minute breaks, which is a great thing. And questions are combination of multi-choice, multi-response, drag drop, hotspot, and fill in the blank. Yeah. uh, I have certain questions here. Yeah, you can save your questions. You can put it up ahead when we go for the Q&A part of it. I will just keep a note on these questions. I will take these things ahead. Okay, so we will see how the question types are there. So now there are new question types. So earlier we had only the multi-choice questions. So we had a question, a para with a situation or a scenario, and you need to read that, and you will be provided a multi-choice options, and you need to select the right option amongst the all. So these were normally the multi-choice questions. Now we have the interactive questions. So the interactive questions are drag drop, hotspot, and fill in the blank. So as the name suggests, a drag drop is something where you will be provided with an option to drag and block and drop it against the matching block. So it will be a graphical interactive question, and you need to use your visual skills to drag and drop it up. Hotspot, again, the image will be interactive. You have certain areas in the image graphical itself which will be clickable or selectable, or you have an option to tick or select it, and the right option is to be highlighted or selected. And fill in the blank. So here, as it suggests, fill in the blank, you will be provided with a textual area, a text box, or a blank space wherein by you need to type or key in your answer. So all these are now new types which are added to the question. So these are to make the question paper a bit interactive, a bit engaging. So for 230 minutes, just reading certain things, long paragraphs, was making it a dead end sort of thing where people used to get tired of a bit. So now these interactive questions will boost up your performance. They will act as a stimulator, like to quickly give the answers ahead. So the PMP roadmap. So you still need to get yourself eligible. You need to see that you comply to the basic educational qualification. You need to see that you also meet up with the experience requirements. you have to complete your 35 contact hours. Now the 35 contact hours are to be done through the ATP program, which is the authorized training program, and we have the exams finally. So plan it well, take a proper schedule and appear for the exams. Certification links, there are many. You can see to it. The exam prep certification is basically on the PMI chart itself. You have the exam updates. You also have the exam content online PDF file which you can download and see. It has mentioned the overall task and the different domains and the enablers in it. You can see the certification FAQ questions. You can just view to it. You can see the application checklist, all of these. For study material, you still have to refer to PM Box 6 till the time we don't have PM Box 7. So we have a different webinar coming up which will map the new task to the old PM Box. So we will see in detail how you can use the still PM Box 6 to study for your certification exams. You need to also refer to the Agile Practice Guide, which is again published by PMI. The rest of the books are published by third parties, and all these are mentioned in the PMI PMP site itself. So you can refer to the other books like Essential Scrums or the Project Management, the Managing Process, the Effective Project Management, Traditional Agile, Extreme Hybrid. All these can be also referred for your exam study material or preparations. You can basically stick to the exam content online. You can ensure that you are focusing on the tasks, and for the other books you can refer to the tools and techniques or the examples or the scenarios that are there, so they can help you in your study. So to summarize what we have just gone through, we have earlier we had PM Box 6, which had the 10 knowledge areas, 49 processes across 5 process groups. Now we have 3 domains, 35 tasks, and all these tasks are further divided into multiple enablers, and each of these enablers make use of different deliverables, tools, and techniques to achieve your output goal. So we will be definitely referring to the PM Box 7 when it is released. Till then, we have to stick to PM Box 6, and we also use the Agile Practice Guide. As we know, the questions now will be focused on the Agile methodology also. So earlier it was 100% predictive. Now it is 50% traditional or predictive, and 50% is agile or hybrid. So the approach was process oriented, and now the approach is value oriented. We saw how we have the business environment, the people, and the overall value delivered by the project is gaining more importance rather than merely a sequential approach of completing one process, taking the output and moving ahead. So, and the house also saw the changes in the exam. Most of the questions will be now focusing on testing your uh, knowledge rather than just testing, like, the memorization skills. They will see to it how you apply the knowledge that you have gained. You have the multi-choice, the drag, drop, the hotspot, and fill in the blank type of questions, which will be interactive and which will be helpful in your process. So the new PMBOK changes is the next thing that is coming up. We have scheduled it on 5th of June 2021, and it will be again at 8 p.m. and the duration will be of 60 minutes. For our other content, you can visit the website of Tech Canvas, wherein by you can see the different contents like what's new in PMI 2021, the difference between CAPM and PMP, the certification, everything you need to know about how to prepare yourself for the PMP certifications, the sample questions. We have a short video on how to analyze the question and how to select the right answer. the exam pattern. We have evaluated each of the question types that are new, and we have given the examples of it. So you can go through that. Okay. Yes, the question and answers. So you can mention your doubts, clarifications, questions here. I think so. We had certain questions. Um,
Yeah, just one question. I mean, in spite of having a value-driven approach, still the weightage is more on the process. Any specific reason for that? Because in the value-driven approach, typically, even the manifesto says that, right? People and customer collaboration over processes and contracts. Then why is that, still the weightage is on the process?
yeah. As you saw, the weightage is 50% on the process. Okay. And the process is not only an isolated one. So if you see, what is the process domain still focusing on? It is focusing on the delivery. So in the end, you need to consider that your project is like, valuable to the environment, the business environment overall. So it is making a benefit to all the stakeholders, but you need to also see to it that it is getting over. So just to consider, like, if everybody is happy, and just to make things happy, if your work is not getting done, then still it will be a loss making project. So we need to remember that every project or every assignment has a monetary value to it. May it be like, even a government process or government project also has a value associated to it. So processes are basically focusing on getting the things done. So how well you plan and how well you execute is the task. And monitoring that each of the activities that you do while performing these are in line with the business environment are or also helpful to the stakeholders. So we need to focus on the stakeholders, the team members, and the vendors and everyone. But accordingly, we also need to see to it that a task is move ahead. So 50% of the weightage is currently in this PMBOK provided on the process domain, and 50% is the switch between the business environment and the people domain.
Okay.
Abhishek, for you had not spoken about the timeliness, whether it will be covered under the business environment or under the process based.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
I'm saying about the timeliness about the project, whether it will be covered under the
The timelines, are you talking about the
yeah
deadlines?
the timelines and the deadlines for the particular
Yeah.
project.
So basically, the project deadlines, okay, or the project requirement might vary. So there's no specific definition, or there's no specific what we say a task for that. That's an input area. So as I said, an input can be the technology, and input is basically your requirement, and input is basically the business environment. All these are inputs. Okay, so these will impact your project. So there's nothing as in task as in terms of timelines. So I cannot say a project say is how can I explain it to you? If a 6 months project is there, it will be a people domain process, or it should follow so and so thing. No, it cannot be said that. So even a 6 day project can vary depending on the requirement, and even a 6 year project can vary. As we saw in the question that I put up, although the project, if you see, creating a monument, which is a world class monument, is a like a very dynamic kind of a project. Okay, but still, if you see to it, most of the preferences will follow onto a predictive methodology. So your timelines, as I said, will be part of your Stacy matrix. So the time will decide upon which methodology you need to switch on to. So you need to focus more onto the predictive methodology, or you need to make it an hybrid, or you need to focus on completely agile methodology. So that will be an element on the timeline. So if the duration is too long, it's a 5 year project, and you expect things to change every 1 year or 2 year, then definitely you need to divide your project into small deliverables, and they take things ahead. If your project is something which is like, a 2 year or a 3 year project, but that technology is not changing. A simple example can be construction of a building, new towers coming up, and each of the towers are basically, or say, a 14th floor or a 12th floor or 50th floor. But we all know the technology is pretty much the same. The phases are the pretty much same. So there again, depending on the project input, it varies. So timelines can be an input factor. It can guide you on which practice you need to use rather than as a part of a study. I don't think so that can be a way out. Okay, it is going to cover in new PM Box 7. Yeah, the PM Box 7, we all expecting to cover up the major new tasks and the enablers. So it will be more focused on that. We have the exam content online, which is also trying to give more focus on that. As we also with the agile and practice, we have the people's domain. So yeah, we are expecting the PM Box 7 to focus more on the people domain and the business environment domain, because PM Box 6 and most of the earlier versions were good enough, or we can link most of the process to the process domain that is there, the current one. How project can integrate people management and process management? Yes, definitely. Good question, Kalpesh. So, as you see to it, every process that is being performed, okay, it involves uh, human effort. Okay, so at the time of taking any process, or if you're defining it to it, okay, so you're completing a process, any one, as you're planning and managing change, or you're planning and managing the requirements, all these things, or how to schedule, you're planning and managing schedule. At the time of planning and managing schedule, you need to consider the team, the availability of resources. You need to focus, like, whether a training needs to be given to the stakeholders. So automatically, if you see to it, at the time of performing your task or executing, you will need to get the people element in line with the execution. So if you see to it that the stakeholder is not clear on the understanding, so you need to arrange a proper training, or you need to update him. You need to provide a proper understanding on what will be the deliverable. So automatically that will be a link between the process and the people domain. Okay, at the point of time, what is your suggestion? Wait for PM Box 7 and then exam, or later? Okay, Jitendra, tricky one. I think so. Yeah, you need not wait. You need to start out ahead. Okay, PM Box 7 definitely will be a better option. I'm not denying that. But PM Box 6, along with the Agile Practice Guide and the overall study material, exam content online that we have, is a good enough thing for you to go ahead and clear your certification exams. So you don't need to consider the PM Box 7 as a bottleneck. Yeah, it can be a booster if you say to it. So if I see to it, it is a 20-80 ratio. So 20%, yes, definitely it will be a helpful thing. That is purely my consideration. It might vary from person to person, but I think so. Yeah, 20% of it will have an impact on the exam preparations. The PM Box 7 will definitely help you out. But other than that, I don't think so. Is PMP certification beneficial from Scrum Master? Okay. Any practice that you do, okay, for a project management, irrespective it is agile, hybrid, Scrum, or the waterfall method, you need to apply it on your process. So you cannot consider such in that every project will be uh, like plainly a Scrum thing where there you meet up daily and you have your Scrum meetings, and you decide upon, and you have your stories, and you move your storyboards ahead. So as I said, depending on the project, as we saw in the stacing matrix, which element falls under different groups. So how relevant it is there, and you need to decide upon. Second thing is there are different processes. So each of these processes are useful, even in a Scrum Master role. Okay, if you're considering yourself as a Scrum Master, you need to see to it that the stakeholders are being properly updated. There's a proper communication plan, right? So Scrum focuses on daily meetings, stand-up meetings, the communication. The method of communication has to be hot. There doesn't has to be a cold communication. So all those things will be a part of it. Then how to meet up or test your deliverables. Even a scrum master, you cannot just ignore the deliverable is not meeting the stakeholders. You cannot just do that. You need to check it up. You need to ensure that the project guidelines are on track. Your timelines are meeting up. So all those things, the tools, the techniques, everything are definitely needed thing in any kind of project management. So yeah, I think so. The project management definitely helps us to manage any project, even if it's a predictive or waterfall, or even if it's agile. It definitely helps you. When is the switch of exam pattern going to be? It's already been switched, Jitendra. So the exam pattern is from 2021. You have to appear for the new syllabus. It's not as per the old syllabus. So currently, if you take up the exam, expect the questions will be on the new pattern. Okay, uh, uh, we saw that. Okay, Aishwarya, as long there is no scope creep, a project is good, right? Depending on priorities on the project. Um, a scope creep is something which is yeah, you need to check it up, but it's not necessary that that can be the only cause of failure for a project. So even if your scope is not creeped up, so your scope is still like in line and your deliverable are matching the scope, but if the technology changes, okay, there is an external factor which is changing it up, or you see to it like the organization goals have changed. So from assuming like the organizations were planning to achieve customers X factor as a satisfaction thing. Suddenly, due to the market scenario, they have changed their things. So it's not necessary that only the project scope creep is a important element. All other elements are also equally important in your project. So all the risk factors, all the external elements you need to consider at the time of project execution. That is the critical thing. So you need to evaluate very frequently. So that is where we have the hybrid methodology. So the predictive along with the hybrid. Is there a way to skip 36 months job requirement? I doubt it. You need to actually get yourself eligible for that. At point of time, wait for, okay, that's done. Study manual useful. Yes, study manual is definitely useful. It provides you in-depth details about all the tasks. It also helps you to understand the different tools and techniques and the enablers. In fact, even PM Box 6 stands a good input area. You cannot neglect it up, even if you're, irrespective you are planning to give the certification or not, even you're not planning to give the certification. But if you follow all the process and the tools and techniques that are mentioned in PM Box 6, you will definitely gain in your project performance and your overall day-to-day project input and your activity load. So what is the passing score? As such, PMP doesn't support or specify any passing score. There's no a limit or a line where you say if you scored so much, it's a passing mark. It's purely a percentile thing. Earlier, the percentile was breaking up across the different process groups. So you need to perform in all of the process group, and your ranking was across the process groups. So how much you perform as per each process group. Currently, there is no such thing that has been like, provided by the PMI. So we need to wait how the exam scoring or ranking and eligibility will be focused. But yeah, as we see in terms of division of questions, we know that the process will have the 50% weightage, the people will have the 42%, and though negligible 8%, but still an important element of questions will be on the business environment domain. Um, any other questions? If I messed up, you can please type in again, because I hope most of the questions have been answered. While PMP, are we coming across concept definition for IT and non-IT industry, or is it general? And PMP is basically for project. So a project need not be only linked up to an IT thing. And project can be anything which has a definite start and a definite end. So if you see that definition itself mention any activity or what we say um, can say a group of activities or assignment or anything that has a specific start and a specific end. So you can measure the start and end. It is nothing as in terms of a daily activity. So if certain things you are doing as a routine, you cannot tag it up as a project. So anything can be a project. And yes, PMP is relevant in most other sectors which are non-IT driven, like construction. We have the pharma. We have the in fact, certain companies which do projects for quality assessment. So it can be any company, but they have a project to come up with meeting the requirements of the customers, increasing this customer satisfaction. Even those can be taken up as a project, and you can take that as a Scrum project or PMI project ahead. Tentative date of PMBOK release. Yeah, we're expecting the release on around mid this year. So can be around say June or July. I heard the student manual only will be sufficient to crack the exam. No, definitely not. The student manual alone will not be sufficient to crack the exams. You need to focus on the agile practice guide. You need to focus on the PM box. You need to be well versed with the different deliverables, the tools and techniques. You need to go through that in detail. I hope Yogita, I got you answered. Okay, thank you. When is the switch pattern is done? Okay, so I think so most of the questions are answered here. If anything is like still to be queried upon, you can use our blogs as I mentioned, and you can visit the Tech Canvas website. We have a blog section of PMI, and you can put up your questions and queries within each of the things. You can also visit the PMP certification links that I have given through, wherein by there are FAQs and there are other clarifications provided. You can download the outline, the exam content online. Okay, it's a PDF file which will give you an exact idea on the task and the different enablers within that and how you can prepare for the exam. And you can also come up for the next webinar wherein by we will be having a detailed overview on how things will be there. Yeah, I think so. The PPT and the video will be uh, posted online, so you can refer to that. Yes, the PPT and the video will both be available. So I hope that answers the question. Great, guys. Thanks for your time and wish you a great luck. Hope you had quality time here, and thanks a lot.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Robin.
Abhishek. Thank you for all the inputs.
Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded. This conference is no longer being recorded.